So what are you waiting for? This universal question has added significance as we find ourselves in this global, national, and local season of watching the positive cases of COVID continue to climb, as we hear the tantalizing news that there is a vaccine on the way, as we hear that although Canada has pre-ordered batches of the vaccine, there are other countries ahead in the line who get the vaccine first. As we see Toronto and the Peel regions go into the gray zone and we wonder, are we next? Then there are the lines here at church, at the store, at the bank, at Service Ontario. You know, I should really be getting my license updated, but the thought of those long lines weakened my resolve and I put it off. What was in God's mind when he created the world? And he created us and he set it up so that we have to wait for things, for life, for results, for a better future. And it's even more heartbreaking when the waiting seems to end in defeat, in failure. I think of people who wait for organ donations or for that drug treatment that does not end up eradicating that death-dealing disease. Waiting itself can sometimes be seen almost as a disease that we have to get rid of. If we could just buy that latest computer or cell phone that processes faster, or if we pay for that internet upgrade so communication gets sent faster, life would be so much better. But does faster life make a better life? Does it take away the wait? I don't think so. What are you waiting for? In the first reading, the Israelites wanted to turn the question on God. Why was God so seemingly uninterested or slow to help them? Oh, that God would tear open the heavens and come down. God, what are you waiting for? Come on, we need you now. But the prophet Isaiah reminds them and us that God is our loving Father, that he works for those who wait for him. Waiting is part of God's plan for us. Immediate gratification, immediate answers to problems, immediate solutions, although we might, from our perspective, want them and think that is the best for us, for some reason, mostly known to God, we don't get them. Imagine if we did. Imagine if for every demand a child makes of their parent, they immediately pacify them and give in to them. What would the world look like? Advent is a great time to bring this question to the forefront. As people of faith, our waiting is given to us as a gift. I think that is the first thing we need to realize if we are to seriously consider that question. What are we waiting for? Waiting is given to us so that we might grow in faith, in hope, and in love, so that we might draw closer to God and give him permission to draw closer to us. God is always waiting. He never forces himself on us. He respects our freedom, never begrudging us the time it takes to turn to him. God works for those who wait for him. Waiting is humbling. To accept that our lives are made up of waiting means that we have to admit that we are not in control. We are not the master. There is somebody much bigger than us who controls the waiting, its length, and its condition. St. Paul says something very important in the second reading. God is faithful. It connects very much with what Isaiah is saying in that first reading about God working for those who wait for him. So yes, we live in this condition of incompleteness. As long as we are on this earth, there will always be something missing. Nothing on this earth will ever give us that cause to say, we have arrived. The wait is over. Everything is sorted out. I'm eternally happy and satisfied. Life, I'm sure you've realized, is not designed like that. There is always something more to wait for. So it continues to beg the question, What am I waiting for? Because the best lover, the best spouse, the best house, the best car, the best job will not in the end satisfy us. The answer ultimately is found in God. And we don't control him. We cannot purchase him. We cannot manufacture him. Quite the opposite. He created us. And he created us for relationship. He created us for a life and a happiness that only he can give us on his terms. So we wait, and that is very humbling. It means, again, that we are not ultimately the master of our life. We are dependent on God. Waiting is one more reminder of that humbling fact. Do we believe that God is faithful? So if we believe God to be faithful, we must then heed Jesus' advice. In the gospel, Jesus calls out to us and asks us to be vigilant, to be watchful, because God has come, he is coming, and he will come. We are to be like slaves waiting and watching for the master. Our waiting must be focused. It must be purposeful. As we begin this season, it is good to remember how God has come into our lives, how he is coming into our lives, and how he will come into our lives. God comes in memory, in mystery, and in majesty. We remember through the stories of our faith how God comes to us definitively in history in the person of his Son, Jesus Christ. We remember how Christ's resurrection allows him to continuously come to us in the present moment of our lives. We remember how God promises us that Jesus Christ will come a final time in all his glory. So Jesus transforms our waiting. My waiting then is really not about me alone. My waiting is a waiting with Jesus. And once I open myself to this mystery, this makes all the difference. I don't have to figure out all of life's intractable problems. I am not solely responsible for solving my unemployment, for my illness, for the tension in my marriage, for my children's bad choices, for the pandemic. I remember in my final semester of my undergraduate, I became quite seriously ill. Over Christmas, I had traveled to Hong Kong, and there I had contracted hepatitis A. I had actually eaten contaminated mussels. Don't eat contaminated mussels. So a couple of weeks after returning to Canada, I became sick, and I had to go to hospital for a couple of weeks, and then I had to convalesce at home. And so I was quite frustrated because I was not able to finish my year off and graduate when I had hoped to. I had to defer my courses and graduate later on that year. It also so happened that my younger brother broke his leg skiing around that same time. My brother John is 10 years younger than me, and so we weren't very close growing up. And when I left home to go to school, I didn't have much contact with him. But then there we were, sharing a bedroom, neither of us being able to do too much. We played a lot of chess and other board games. We chatted. And now I look back at those times and realize that far from being a loss of precious time or a missed graduation, it was a special time in which we were able to draw close together as brothers. That was a graced time. In life's enterprise, I work with God as the junior partner and let him be the senior partner. If he says, "Here, I've torn the heavens open, I have come down in the person of Jesus," then I believe him, I trust him. I take some time to get to know this person, Jesus. Now my waiting has meaning. Now my waiting has purpose. I can find him in all those vacuous moments that I have previously filled with impatience, with ingratitude, with fantasy, with disordered entertainment. Prayer becomes a living reality in my life. Now my life takes on a fullness that I could never have thought possible. If I am attentive, if I am vigilant, if I am watchful, if I am wakeful, My waiting can be laden with grace. My dear friends in Christ, Advent is upon us. What are you waiting for?